This podcast is kindly sponsored by Boll and Branch. Winter weather in Texas can be chaotic. I mean, freezing temps one week, sunny and 70 degrees the next. So I love having our Boll and Branch sheets that feel buttery soft and also breathable so that they're perfect for both cooler and warmer weather. Get 15% off your first order when you use promo code 2hands at bollandbranch.com. Exclusions apply. See site for details. That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com. Promo code 2hands. This podcast is kindly sponsored by Athletic Greens. I take AG1 in the afternoon before starting a big renovation project, and it makes me feel unstoppable. It's no secret that I do loads of DIY projects where I depend heavily on my body, and not just for strength, but also energy. And I've been taking AG1 by Athletic Greens, which is a scoop of powder that's packed with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole foods that is mixed with water every day, and I feel unstoppable. My energy is boosted, my skin and hair have been looking healthier than ever, and I know that all of my nutritional bases are covered every day. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/XO. That's athleticgreens.com/XO to check it out. This podcast is kindly sponsored by EveryPlate. I've personally loved HelloFresh for years. And now with EveryPlate, we can enjoy delicious pre-portioned meals at a more affordable price. EveryPlate meals are 58% cheaper than the average fast casual meal and 25% cheaper than grocery shopping. So get started with EveryPlate for just $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code XO149. So go to everyplate.com/podcast and use code XO149. Hello, guys. Welcome back to With My Own Two Hands podcast. This is officially episode 4, which is kind of crazy because we do them every 2 weeks. So every Wednesday I have a new episode here on the channel. So we film this for YouTube, and then also you can listen wherever you listen to podcasts. And every other week, I thought more time would pass in between them, but I feel like we've made it to episode 4.
Pretty cool.
That's kind of crazy. So we have a special guest back now today. My mom, Kathy. I will say your name.
That sounds very strange.
Because don't say who calls their mom by their name. I think that first of all, that's
not answer.
So disrespectful.
No, Kinsley. No.
I think my dog Kinsley is here as well, and she has been great for 3 episodes, but today she has decided that she would like to play. So the last episode that we had Mom on, we did a what did we do? Wait, why am I blanking? Oh, decor styles that we really you didn't remember either. Decor styles, because I grew up with a family that was an architect and an interior designer, and they loved homes, and they built a lot with me growing up, and so I lived in lots of different styles of houses. So we explored our decor styles, and then you can't build a home without having to deal with contractors and to have a few horror stories along the way. Mom has a lot of horror stories about building and dealing with people, and I thought it would be a really fun episode to talk about things a little bit. Who doesn't love a little bit of drama? And just talking about some lessons learned truly through those horrific, crazy things.
There was some craziness. There were some tantrums involved.
From you or from the contractors?
Both.
Well, I mean, a good tantrum never hurt anybody.
No.
So we're going to kind of go through that process, because I have been through a renovation now, obviously, and dealt with a contractor and subcontractors, and Mom has obviously been through renovation projects and but new builds. So it's really starting with a contractor and a company and every house had a different contractor, right? That you built. Everyone was different, and in different areas too, most of the time. And so she has a lot of things and contractors that she's worked with. So we have a lot of experience dealing with the trade in general. And I've been thinking a lot about this episode, and I just don't want to discourage you guys from working with contractors. We don't want to scare them.
No.
Not too much.
No.
Really, it's about having the knowledge that we have so that you don't get yourself in the same situations that we have found ourselves in occasionally. Right?
Right.
Yeah, we're
Learn from our
mistakes.
So you can start where we left off and do easier bills.
Yes.
Make it easy.
Making it easier on you guys. So of all of the things that we have been through, it wouldn't discourage us from renovating or building again. So there's something to be said about that.
Right.
Like that we wouldn't not do it because of these things that we're about to get into, but we would we've learned a lot. So we know what to look for. We know what to steer clear of, but gosh, these contractors never cease to surprise us. Really, they come out of left field sometimes with some things. So let's talk about contractors in general. So there's a contractor. You'll work with one person or one company, and then they have a list of subcontractors underneath those that are specialize in specific areas. So you'll have your electricians, your plumbers, your sheetrock guys, like drywall. You'll have finishing contractors. What else?
Plumbers.
The framers.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like a subset. So your contractor is your main point of contact, but then they'll have all of these other teams of people that are on the job periodically through the stages of a build or a renovation. So you'll see lots of people in and out, and then the contractor kind of manages the whole project and manages when they go out and what's being done. And I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So there's a couple of ways that you can work with a contractor. You can work in just a flat fee. Is that what it would be called?
Well, they give you a bid on building the house.
Okay.
And at that point, they give you a list of allowances. Say, X amount of dollars for your flooring.
Oh, I see.
They give you a list of allowances for lighting, the pretty stuff, the flooring, the lighting, the plumbing fixtures, things like that. And
so
then,
they kind of, is it somewhat of it's called allowances, or is it somewhat of a budget per item?
Right.
Or?
It's a budget per item that you get to pick certain items, not all of them. They obviously don't give you a bid on concrete, and if you want a better concrete, it's
oh, I
more
see.
the
so
pretty stuff. Like they want you to go out and pick, like the lighting and the floor. Floor can range from $5 a square foot to $50 a square foot and upwards from there. So they don't really know when they get down to the end what floor are we putting in. So they don't have to deal with that at the beginning. They can just say, we're going to give you X amount of dollars for your flooring. Now, it should be reasonable, and sometimes it is. Sometimes they bid it low to be able to get the job. Then when you get to the flooring and you go pick your flooring, you may or may not have enough money in the allowance to be able to get the flooring that you really, really want. At that point, you just have to get a bid for the flooring that you want.
Yeah.
And then if you go over, then you just add that to the bottom cost of the house.
Okay. So you
that.
put together, let's think about the process. So you put together, this is your plan. This is what you want to build. And mom is very, very detailed person, much like myself. And she always has like a binder full of things that she loves and that she already wants, so that they have as much knowledge going into the bidding process as possible, so that they don't under or overbid.
Yes.
That they kind of have a clear vision of what they're going to be building.
I call it the build this. There is
build this binder.
Yes, there is no question. Here's the floor, the number, where you can get it.
Oh, so
how
very
much it
detailed.
Is. Yes. The lighting. This light goes here. This lighting. These are the lights.
Yeah. So it's really specific. So she literally will go through and design the whole house on paper, which I've always admired because as much as I can, we're very similar in a way of like, I can, when we talk about floor plans and we walk through a room, we can visualize it, right? I can visualize the room and the space that I'm in before it's ever built. And we both can. But she's always been really good at designing finishing elements, tile, flooring, color palettes. Literally can do it in like 30 seconds flat. Like exactly what she wants. And I'm like, I have no idea what tile I want for that. I have to work through, like I have to sit with it for longer. And she's really good at creating that because I think it's a test to like experience because you've been doing it for so many houses and you've been creating that binder to give bidders, contractors that she's been able to develop it in her own head and then provide it, which is crazy.
Right. Well, I have this fictitious idea that if I give them the build this binder, that they'll actually quote that.
And has that ever really been
not
the case?
Yet. Not yet.
So it just goes to show, doesn't matter how thorough you are.
No.
And is it always they underbid?
Yes.
They always underbid.
Yes.
Well, they want the job.
They want the job. So they have to, they have to skirt underneath they have to get it as low as they can to be able to win the job. Even though I tell them, this is what I want.
Right.
And it's hard. It's hard for them to go, well, we usually don't put this floor in our houses. The contractors will usually build a certain, and you have different contractors. Some of them just build spec houses. Some of them build moderate, some of them build luxury homes.
I see.
The bids are, so you have to take that into, you wouldn't go to just a sub builder that goes in and contract homes and tell them that you want to build a luxury home because they don't have the trades to do that. The trades are not used to handling.
So there's different like levels of contractors and they specialize in different level of price point of home.
Exactly.
So you'll have your, $200,000, contractors that are building that level of home, and then you'll have your $5 million.
Right. It's by the same token, you don't want to, if you're going to build a $300,000 or $400,000 home or a $200,000 home or even less, or a cabin or a little cottage, you don't want to go to a luxury home builder.
Well, they're never going to take the job.
They're never going to take the job. And if they do, it would cost them too much because their trades are used to making more money. They're used to putting in more expensive flooring, tile, more work.
Yeah.
It's harder to do, more intricate designs that take more money. So they don't want to put in a cheaper style that you would go into like a cabin on the creek that you want, that I want, like Fox Run.
Right. There's just different level of homes.
Different levels. So you have to pick your contractor for the job.
So once you figure out, what level of the house that you're going to be building, how many contractors do you submit for bids?
8. I get 8.
Oh, that's a lot.
I get 8.
I thought she was going to say 3. I mean,
8.
she always say 3. When you think about doing, any kind of work around your house, you get 3 bids, and that gives you enough. You're not comparing one to another. You've got 3 to really work with, and they know going into it that you're bidding out this project, so they don't overcharge.
I like 8. I like 8.
You like 8. Wow.
I like 8. I don't tell them I'm getting 8, but I get 8 because I find them. You can find contractors if you drive past a house.
Oh, they will put their sign out.
Yeah, they put their sign out. If their sign is not out, some subdivisions don't allow that. But if they're building a house that you like and the style, the workmanship, if you stop and talk to a person there, a sub that you really like, hey, you're doing a great job, something like that. If you see something, I walk right up to them and I say, who do you work for?
Yeah.
Who's building this house? Because a lot of these subcontractors work for several different builders.
Oh, I see.
But they'll tell you which contractor is head of that job.
Oh, that's a great tip.
You can call them. So it's not very hard to get 8. Plus you can call the contractor just look them up in your area and see. But you can't really, I've had contractors tell me, go look at these houses I've built. Don't, you can do that, but they're only going to send you to the people that still love them after they finish building for them.
They're only going to send you to the good ones. They're only going to give you the good reviews.
Yes. They're only going to give you their aunts and their uncles and their cousins that they built for.
It was kind of like when I was trying to get a job in fashion. With my first jobs, of course, I worked for my family. So my brother and I have a different last name. Yeah. So I would give my brother as a recommendation because you have to. You'll
McKenna.
Well, you also have a different last name than me, so I was able to do you.
That is such a sneaky, workable thing to do.
I learned from the best.
Well, but I didn't mind giving you. Well, you worked for me, and you worked.
I had to. It was just because it was family didn't mean that it wasn't bona fide.
No, and you worked really well.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your recommendation.
You did. You worked good.
If you have been following along on the cottage renovations, you know that I have been working nonstop this week on finishing our kitchen. With early mornings and lots of late nights, I need a good night's sleep to keep going. Luckily, our sheets from Boll & Branch are so soft, helping me have the best night's sleep possible. They also get softer every time we wash them because they're made from slow-grown organic cotton that are free from harsh chemicals and pesticides and formaldehyde. Side note, I also hate making the bed after washing the sheets, but Boll & Branch sewed in these little labels that say top and bottom, so it does make that a lot easier. A quality set of sheets can have such an impact on the comfort of your bed, and Boll & Branch gives you a 30-night risk-free guarantee to try them out for yourself. And I personally love a crisp white set of sheets, but they also come in 10 colors to complement your decor. So you can get 15% off your first order when you use promo code 2hands at bollandbranch.com. Exclusions apply. See site for details. That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND branch.com. Promo code 2hands. So I've followed this amazing travel couple on YouTube, and I've always heard them rave about AG1 by Athletic Greens. They live a very active lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, and with all the renovation projects that I do in our home, I really rely on my body to keep going. So a balanced diet, plenty of water and sleep, and taking my vitamins were always something that I strived for, but I felt like I wasn't getting everything that my body needed. So I tried out AG1 for myself and I love it. I take AG1 in the afternoon before starting a big renovation project, and it makes me feel unstoppable. Not only did I get the, placebo effect of I'm drinking this and I know that it's good for me, but also real benefits, boosted energy and healthier looking skin and hair. AG1 is a scoop of powder mixed with water once a day, and it's packed with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. It's delivered straight to my door every month and also comes with single serve travel packs, so I never miss a day. I'm a big believer in if I'm good to my body will do good things for me. And AG1 is the healthiest thing you can do in under a minute. So if you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/XO. That's athleticgreens.com/XO to check it out. Okay, so you get a contract. So that's working with a contractor where you bring all your stuff, you bring your plan, you bring your binder. This is what I want to build. Give me a bid on how much it is. So they'll say, I can build this house for you for $650,000. Like that, there it is. And then they break down the costs of each kind of big type of finish, like flooring, like you said, and lighting, so that you can start to budget and find the lights for the whole house, what you want, blah, 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 blah.
And it doesn't have to be a completed binder like I do, but it gives
general
them,
idea.
It gives them an idea of whether you want wood floors or tile, or it gives them a jumping off place to the quality of home that you want to build. Yeah.
So then on the other side of that, if you wanted to be more involved in the process, similar to what I wanted to when I was renovating this cottage, is I had no personal experience on what each type of thing was going to cost. And I was really, really interested. I was a hands-on homeowner and I wanted to know how much my foundation was going to be and framing the house and drywall, because it was really educational for me. And sometimes you'll find a contractor that is really acceptable, like susceptible for that. And I happened to do that. And he worked with me on a cost plus type of relationship. So I was able to see the invoice from a particular subcontractor, let's say drywall. They came and they put drywall in the whole house, or they framed the whole house, and I was able to know exactly how much that cost. Then he would add his percentage on top of that, and that could be whatever they would charge. It could be small, it could be 5%, 10%, 20%, you could get up to where it was high, and based on their connections and stuff, because it was his guys that he was hiring and his connections, and that's kind of what you're paying for. And so I worked on this renovation as a cost plus relationship. So I knew everything. So now I can go into my next build and be like, well, I know that the foundation is probably going to cost me around 15 to 20 grand. I know that the framing and the drywall is probably going to cost me another 15 to 6, I think it was 16,000 for all the drywall and the whole house. Things like that. But when you work with a builder, here's all of it. Do they give you a breakdown? No. See, you don't never know how much each thing costs.
And if they pull the job in and finish it for less, then they keep the difference.
See, so they want to do cheaper.
If it goes over on their part, now on your allowances, you have to pay the difference. If it's less than that, you can take that overage, that money saved, and apply it. Say if you don't spend all your lighting allowance, you can put some more on that into the plumbing. You know what your bids are there. Usually,
on the finishes,
a good contractor will let you kind of smoosh that all over. But if they say your slab or your drywall and things like that, they can somehow get that to come in under, then they keep that money. They're bidding that job. So that's doable, because they take the risk of it going over too.
That's true.
If
it's just it's part of their trade. They could essentially, a contractor, a good contractor, if they've got 3 houses going at the same time and they get subs to come on all 3, they may get a deal because they're getting all 3 jobs, so they may get it cheaper. Well, the contractor gets the extra because it was him that had the 3 jobs that got the cut. Which totally makes sense. That's their trade. That's how they make their money, and it 100%.
In that case,
sense.
They're presenting you a product, and you're agreeing to pay that much for that product. Now, if they can get some of that product for cheaper, then you've still agreed to pay for that product.
So that totally makes sense. Exactly. So you can work with a contractor on a flat fee, and then you can work with a contractor on a cost plus. Or you could be your own contractor on your own home. Now, there are laws. You can't go out and contract for other people, I don't think. There are laws against that.
No, you have to have a license.
So you have to have a license to do it for other people. But on your own home, you can hire people to work on your home in America. So you can hire a subcontractor. I can call up a plumber. I probably need to do that to get my oven installed. I could call up a plumber and hire him to come and do work at my house and then pay him. So that's, there's kind of 3 ways of getting work done on your house. So that's kind of the background. You would probably run into me at the hardware store before running into me at the grocery store. First of all, I hate to go to the grocery store. And also because we have loved having fresh meal kits in the fridge from HelloFresh, and now Every Plate has entered the chat offering fresh, delicious meals at a lower price. With our busy schedules, it's so nice to not have to overthink what we're going to have for dinner, and extra ingredients never spoil in the fridge because each meal
comes pre-portioned with exactly what the recipe calls for. The other night we made cantina-style shrimp tacos. It was so yummy. And I am no chef by any means, but following a recipe card, especially when it has photos, is something I can definitely do. Every Plate has 25 tasty and affordable recipes to choose from each week, which are 58% cheaper than your average fast casual meal and 25% cheaper than grocery shopping. So you can save on dinner and put the money towards something fun this spring. Get started with Every Plate for just $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code XO149. That's just $1.49 a meal, which is crazy. So go to everyplate.com/podcast and use code XO149.
So how many contractors have you worked with, Mom?
Is bajillion a number?
Bajillion.
Seems like
Maybe.
You mean just contractors or subs, and
Well,
there was a lot.
let's start with let's say like your first house that you did. Did you hire a contractor?
Yes,
Okay. And you just hired one guy and then
one guy. He was a contractor that had built houses. In fact, I graduated with his daughter. But he was a guy. He was really nice. He loved the race horses.
Race
He loved to go to the races. So when I could get him to the job, he was really, really nice. But I was 23.
when you built your first house?
Built my first house at 23, yes. And I had to scrape up and save enough money. 7 years I saved from when I got out of high school. I saved every penny and bought the land. And then put the land up as collateral to buy the house, to get the mortgage on the house.
Which house was this?
The St. Joseph Street house. Mm-hmm. I love that house. Anyway, I had that one, and I got the house going, and it went really, really well.
So this one went well. This one wasn't a horror story. The first one went really
No.
well. That's good.
No, he
first
knew
one
my
didn't go
dad.
well.
So
He knew Papa.
he knew my dad.
I get that.
And he did really, the only thing I didn't really like, he had the land. So if I bought the land, I had to buy the land from him. And so he had to build the house. So I had to, if I wanted the land, I had to sign the contract for him to build the house. He held the land. So I felt a little bit
forced into
having him.
Yeah.
But it worked out really, really well. He was nice. He, by just kind of a unique situation, I wanted a window in the master bedroom and to an additional window and in the primary bedroom. And so when I wanted that window, I went ahead and ask him how much it would be to take out another window. Just by accident. No. Just by accident, I was going to take out the window because I knew I wasn't going to go over with this house. I couldn't. So how much if I take this window out? And before I could finish in the kitchen, taking the kitchen window out and put it in the bedroom, somehow he told me that the window in the bedroom was going to cost me X amount of, say, $300. So I don't remember how much it was.
this is going.
But to put the window in the bedroom was going to cost me, say, $300. So in reality, at the end of the job, I did not put the extra window in the primary bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
I went
You
to
took
the
one
kitchen
out.
and I took one out.
So you saved $300.
So in my naivety, he owed me $300 because he didn't have to build that window. And so it got to where it dawned on me that I had a credit there. So from then on out, I would go, anything I wanted to add, I would ask him, how much would it cost me to add one before I took it out?
It was like not a reverse psychology thing, but kind of.
It was reverse pricing.
It was reverse pricing. It was asking how much something would be to add and considering that when you wanted a credit to remove it later on.
Yes. And so he didn't catch on because remember he liked the race horses. So he was gone a lot. And his two little framers were just wonderful men. They were wonderful, wonderful people. And I just kind of told him what I wanted. And at the end, I would call him up and ask him what it would take. And he'd tell me how much it would cost to add things. And then when I didn't do it and took it out, I credited myself in a notebook. And so at the end, he came over. We had a meeting, and we were going to settle up. And he had me owing him something like $7,000. And when we left, I wrote him a check for $6.67.
You had that much credit?
Yeah. The only thing I owed him for was at the top of the stairs. I had oak steps, but then I had carpet at the top of the stairs. So I added an little slim oak plank so that the carpet wouldn't wrap around the top of the top stair. And I had not paid him for that. He left. I thought I saw steam come from his.
I'll bet you did.
His face was red. He was like, he still talks to my dad about me. He still.
Is it in a way that's like proud that you kept up with everything, or
know.
royally pissed off?
I don't know. I never asked my dad.
I
never asked
you.
Papa about that. But he kind of laughs every once in a while when Dad.
Oh my God.
When Papa looks at me and talks about the bill, he goes, "Hey, I saw your contractor the other day, and he still talks about you." I'm like, "I'm sorry." But anyway, that was a good build. I kept track. He kept track. Everybody kept track. It was good.
Yeah, Mom, I'm not as I guess ballsy as you. I look at every situation and I'm like, is this worth fighting over? Or is like I'm like, I'll just protect my energy and I'll be like, I don't care. And I'll pay it.
And see,
And you won't. You will fight. It could be a penny.
I fight.
It's my penny.
If I take care of the pennies, the dollars, I don't have to worry about.
So you work with 7 contractors, and what was the first thing that happened let's get into horror stories. What was the first thing that happened that really surprised you that you just couldn't believe? What was your first horror story? Let's start there. Cuz I know what the bad one was, and we'll get there.
Well, I think the first one was the bad one.
Oh, we're jumping right into the bad one.
Well, I think that was the really bad one, the Hidden Hollow
I can
house.
still see this man's face.
Oh, I can
Like
too.
the shape of his body. Like I remember him so well.
He's in my nightmares.
Is he?
But I let it go after a while.
No, you didn't.
A year. It took me 2-3 years.
Yeah,
let it
no.
go. Yeah.
If you would have,
I'm only reliving it for my friends.
Yes. If you saw him today, what would your reaction be? He'd run. He'd hide.
He would run.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it.
Okay. We were building the Hidden Hollow house, and everything was really going well. I had the build this.
Yeah, you had your binder.
Mm-hmm.
You had your bid.
I had even samples. I was letting
okay.
nothing because we were working at the store, and I didn't have the time to go over there.
House at the time,
right? And
yeah, I was in high school when this happened.
Mm-hmm. And I had to have the samples. I remember I had this oak floor, big panel, and we did houses, so they let me have the samples. They ordered me big size, life size samples. I didn't get little. And I carried this flooring around with me so much that the people named it Louise. Its name was Louise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had a handle, and the friends of mine would call it Louise. But anyway, I kept it, and we pulled it around, and along with faucets, from doing this, you just carry around in the back of my car.
Samples
I had everything.
And stuff. You always have them on hand because you're picking things constantly. Paint samples, new things that you're adding in, and you've got to have something to reference. There's too many decisions that you're making. You have got to have samples.
Right. And so I had them, and I carried all of them around in the back of my truck. And so there was no question that I think I had 5 contractors that we put it out to bid. So I had 5 samples for everybody, 5 binders, 5 plans.
Wow, you sent everything to them to bid.
Everything.
Okay.
Build.
It wasn't
this,
like give this to one, get it back, give it to the next one.
It was. They were all went out at the same time. Narrowed it down to 2 or 3. Narrowed it down to this one company, this one guy, And I really thought that it would work. He had built a house in the neighborhood, and they liked him. They recommended him. They were friends of ours. So we said, okay, we'll go with him. So we did. He was supposed to show up on like a Thursday and walk through it with us, and neglected to send me the first thing, get your contract in plenty of time before.
Wait, what do you mean?
We didn't get the contract. I kept asking for the contract.
Okay, so when you get it, when you agree to work with someone, you sign a contract
Yes.
that this is how much it's going to be
Exactly.
to build your house. Here's the thing.
It can be
You sign
20,
it.
30 pages long of what.
Okay. So you didn't get the contract in time to what? Break ground?
Yes.
To start building? Okay.
Right. And your dad had done all the field work and the
Right.
Okay, so we were ready to start. Still hadn't gotten the contract. So I told him that he wasn't going to start the house until he sent me the contract.
Well, yeah.
And so we got the contract, and they were supposed to be there the following morning. I brought it home. I was late, stressed to read it. Your dad said, just you read it, and if it's just we'll sign it. Well, always read every single line. I don't care if it takes you a month to read it. Take it to an attorney. Always read your contract, because I skimmed it. I read it. It seemed, normal.
Right.
It didn't seem out of the ordinary. We signed it. Everything was fine, and everything went fine up until about a month, 2 months before we were to finish.
Okay, so you signed the contract. Everything seemed fine. You go through. How long did it take you to get to that? How long was the build?
It was supposed to be about 9 months, and this was at about 8 months.
8
I'd
months.
say.
Okay,
I'd
at
say
8
this was
months
about 8
in, what
months.
happened?
It was obvious we weren't going to finish in time, and we had sold the house, the yellow house that we were in. We had to be out because the people that bought our house had to be out of their house.
Yeah,
it
so
was
it was
a chain
pressing.
reaction. I had to get out. We had to, and so we were there. Everything was fine. Your brother was getting married the following weekend. I still hadn't found my dress. So I was in Houston trying on dresses, stressed. And he called me up and said that he wasn't going to put the oak floor in that I wanted.
The sample that you carried around forever?
Louise. He wasn't going to. He said he never agreed to that. And I'm like, it was in the binder. You agreed to the binder. Fast forward, he didn't.
What was his qualm with it? Like, why wouldn't
it was too expensive? He
it
didn't
was
put
out of
that
budget.
in. Yes, out of budget. So he wasn't going to do it, and I told him that I'd had it, that he was going to do that.
Was there a buildup? Was there other problems with him?
There was. As it was going, there was more buildup. Started with the fireplace insert was too small. He didn't order the one that I had in the picture.
So there was
it
ordering
looked like it, but it was
mishaps.
yes. It started getting bad,
Okay.
and there were red flags because it was getting to the end of the job. His profit was dwindling because he was having to put the pretty that I had.
So
in
he
the
was
book.
trying to cut some corners.
Yes.
Okay.
But we had compromised on it. I had added $300 or $400 to the fireplace insert money. I had added. You were going to put Louise down. I was going to walk on Louise. So he said he wasn't going to, and I told him, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. You're going to do the floor. And then I didn't go, found a dress, got home, went to the house the next day, and he had pulled out, taken everything. I had the stone for the 2-story fireplace. He had loaded that up.
He took material?
He stole my stone that I had paid for. Had people come over with machines and taken my stone, took everything. Well, he knew that I had to be in the house in 30 days. And we ended up moved in that house with one bathroom with a toilet, one upstairs bathroom with a shower, and nothing. No flooring, it was no kitchen, nothing.
That, yeah.
No way he could have gotten finished in 30 days. We had enough. There was other things that happened that he had fallen through.
So instead of going over, over budget or over the bid, he decided that no, he's just going to steal the rest of the material, pick up and just like vacate, like just abandon the job.
Right.
At that point, did you owe him any, like occasionally contractors will take what they call draws. So you won't pay them. Let's say you're going to build $1 million home. You don't pay him $1 million up front. Never. Let's start with that lesson. Never pay someone until the job is finished. Now you will pay a deposit You will pay something up front, but never pay them the whole thing because they will not come back.
And we pulled out 10% of each item. So when we finished up, that's when we would settle
Okay,
up.
so at that point, did you owe him any money?
No. At that,
You had paid him.
I had paid him up to what he had done, but he had to finish. Well, what if he did what he was supposed to do from that point on? He was not going to make the money that he wanted to off the, it was going to take too much of his part to be able to finish the job and finish it
abandoned
with the
ship.
profit he wanted. So he could abandon then and not lose any money. He was afraid he was going to end up
was like
losing
even,
money.
yeah.
He was going to have to eat it. So he just walked off. Well, I had to be in the house. We had to be in the house in 30 days. I had to have someplace. I had to have a roof. I mean, I had to be out. And we didn't want to lose the sale on the yellow house. And
Right.
these people, we were contractually, we had to sell it. So we ended up, I went in there and started subbing it out.
So you moved in as the contractor.
I moved in and I called him twice and he didn't return my calls. And what did you do? You need to come back. Nothing. Didn't hear from him. Nothing. And so I started calling people and got the house finished. We moved in and finished it up with what I still owed him.
Mm-hmm.
Everything went smoothly. And then I got hit with a lawsuit.
Yeah. Then the horror.
Then the horror started.
And what did he sue you for exactly?
He sued me for the balance of what he had done, the 10% of what he had
Because the
finished.
10% you held back. Okay.
And the remainder of the contract that he did not get to make.
But he walked out.
But he walked out. And he took my stone that I had to pay for twice because
You needed material.
I needed to finish so I had to reorder it and get it. So anyway, we did that and went to court. Well, in the contract, I agreed unknowingly to a mediation, not a court where you have a judge that decides. We had a mediator.
Okay.
And he decides that he is a judge, but he decides who's right and who's wrong. Well,
Okay.
what you have is somebody's right, somebody's wrong.
Okay.
It's not, okay, he owes you $10,000.
You don't come to
you
an
owe
agreement?
him $12,000.
I see.
No, you don't come to an agreement. Someone's right and someone's wrong. And it's whoever's right gets the money that he thinks is owed to them. So if you owe him $10,000 and he owes you $12,000, you don't walk out with two.
No.
Right.
It's not an even.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's who's right and who's wrong. He was right, so we had to pay him.
So he won.
He won.
Look, fast forward. They go through mediation. He won the mediation.
Thousands of dollars, 3 weeks in front of a mediation.
Because you have to pay for all the
Attorneys,
lawyers and things.
Yes, you have to pay for the mediator. You have to pay for and then whoever loses has to pay for the other one's attorney's fees, plus your own.
So you had to
and
pay
the
for his
fees.
attorney fees
All of his
through
fees.
all this 3 weeks of stuff, then pay him whatever he deemed was whatever he was owed. And then, so that happened.
And I had to miss work, which cost me quite a bit.
Even more.
And your dad for
But
the
then
3
didn't-
weeks of mediation.
Then didn't we find out something major
Well,
after that?
the reason that he won, just so everyone knows to read their contract, is my cautionary is
Lesson learned.
is because in there, in the fine print, I agreed to give him 30 days to mediate between ourselves, sit down between ourselves and work out our problems before any more work was done on the house. So he used that he knew I had to be in the house, that I had to sell the yellow house.
Yeah.
So we had to have that house finished and livable in 30 days. So what he did was he just walked off and avoided my phone calls. So I could not legally do any work on my own house for 30 days. Yes. So there was that little clause
And you were living in
there. Mhm, I was living in it and I finished it. So because I should have talked with him and give him a chance to, even though sitting in mediation, he admitted that he stole my stone and never attempted to return it and still had it. I still lost.
Oh my God.
Didn't get the money back for the stone. We had to pay for all of his attorney's fees, all of the judge,
Right.
his fees. We had to pay all of our attorney's fees, and what he was owed, the judge only allowed him the 10% of what he actually finished, not of the whole contract.
I see.
So we had to end up paying him about $24,000, but it ended up over $100,000. We had to write him a check for all the fees and the legals,
And then still
everything.
finish your house.
And still pay our attorneys. So y'all know, don't be afraid of it, but just please, please, please read your contracts. Because I never read that until after the judgment.
Well, I don't even think you reading that then would have red flagged you to start building, because I think we go into every situation not thinking that anything like that's going to happen.
Right.
You know, because it's so set up so well and it's clear, and then
But
things
if you'd
just
have
go
seen
awry.
me, I was in that court and I had Louise and I said, if you've seen this, this is what you were supposed to build. You built everything else. You walked out on Louise and he said, he just sat there.
Yeah.
And when the judge asked him why he didn't return my stone, why he didn't ever even try, he said, because I was always hoping to go back to the job.
Oh, he's such a little.
And he never was going to come
Oh.
back. So it was just, that was my worst horror story.
Okay.
That was a hard lesson learned.
Oh, yeah.
But by the same token, I want y'all to understand, I genuinely love that house.
Oh yeah, that house was the kind of the ski chalet inspired house that we showed you guys in episode 2.
Love that house.
So think about your next horror story, 'cause that we started with the whammy. I mean, just being
that
hit
was
with
awful.
a lawsuit in general is big. So your contracts are important and all of that. So when we did the cottage, I didn't get sued. First of all, I'm not got sued yet. Better not get sued. We went through the cost plus phase, you know, in the contractor. I had met my contractor through the realtor that actually helped us get this house. Lovely woman, lovely man, really great family man. I think over time I started to realize that he wasn't so much a contractor in trade. He was more of a concrete guy. So his subcontractors connections were good, but I think there was a lot against him and a lot against us at the time we were building this cottage. I think I'm going to make excuses before I tell you kind of the horror stories, but we bought this house during the pandemic. And when we started doing renovations, the cost of materials was sky high. Because there was, you know, people weren't working, people weren't milling wood. Wood prices had like times 7 themselves. It was a lot. We were paying $15, $16 per stud for a house.
Goodness.
I mean, it was high. So materials were also not readily available. It was hard to get materials. And it was also a time when you'd think that that people would stop working on their houses or stop buying homes. Oh no, interest rates plummeted and everyone bought a house. Everyone was home. So they were doing renovations. They were making their homes more work-life friendly. You know, like they needed offices. They were doing things. They were doing projects. Home Depot was empty of stuff. There was a lot of that. And then also you play into a fact that we do not live in a big city. No one wanted to come out to our town. When there was you think about being a framer or a plumber or whatever, having that much work right outside your front door. If you lived in a city in San Antonio, why would you need work 40 minutes out of town, 45 minutes out of town, wherever you were driving from? I was last on the list of people. So it was challenging just to get workers and to get people out here. So we had all of that stacked up against us, and he had all of that stacked up against him too. So I knew that, you know, going into it. We ended up having to pay more for tradesmen just to get them out here to work. We had to wait until they had a break in their job that was right outside their front door because they had plenty of work. We went through phases where people didn't show up when they said they were going to show up, them leaving and not finishing, abandoning us, stealing material. I feel like we just in one house, I went through so many, little mini horror stories. So the first thing, we went through 15 plumbers. 15. And we had we were trying to get people out here. They wouldn't show up. We would contact another one. They would come. They would bid. They would say they were going to come to work. They wouldn't. One finally would show up. He did all the drainage in the back for the foundation. He messed it all up. And then he stole all of the I think $2,500 worth of plumbing materials that he picked up from the warehouse that I paid for and never came back. And then we were on the search again for another plumber. We had to buy more product. So that was one mini horror story.
And see, you're so healthy. You just said, I'll just buy some more. We'll just
I did.
put this behind us.
I don't
I would
dwell.
be on that guy's doorstep. I'd be following him. I would find
I
him.
know. It was just, we were in those situations.
Yeah.
Then we were also, not only did we have the pandemic to deal with, the year we started building, we had rain every other day.
Oh,
We
yes. Oh,
had
goodness.
the worst weather. We couldn't we couldn't pour the foundation. We couldn't pour the concrete. We would get to the day we were supposed to do it. It would rain. We would reschedule. We would get to the day we were supposed to do it. It would rain. I mean,
And
like,
it would be pretty in between.
oh yeah, beautiful weather, rain. It was like, there was a lot. But stealing someone's stuff
Yeah,
is not acceptable.
Yeah, that was
horrible. Really horrible. Going through that many tradesmen and not being able to get them out here was horrible. And then there was something else major that happened. Did I block it out? Did I black out? The plumber woman thing was a bad thing. Stealing this stuff was bad.
I don't know. Every time there was something that happened that you were just frustrated with, you just dig in and do it yourself.
I did. I think that it's kind of caused me. I'm very much already a personality that likes to DIY and do things on my own anyways. So when you add in the layer of just, I don't like to depend on people really. I don't like to depend on someone else. And I'm a very punctual person. Like if I tell someone I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be there. And for these people to say that they were going to be there and not be there, it just aggravated me. So it caused me more stress than just Googling how to do it and doing it myself if I could. There were certain things that I just couldn't do
Oh, what?
I remember the other horror story, the electrician.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
I blocked it out, too.
I did. I blocked it out.
Oh, God, that was awful.
So we found the electrician. He comes out. He does all the wiring, everything. His guys come out. They're supposed to be done in a weekend. Blah, 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 blah. They do it, and then they've got to wait for the sheetrock, right? And so we finally got the drywall up, and we were ready for them to come back out. He came out for one day and disappeared. Gone. No one knows. Contractor can't get in touch with him. He's also working on other jobs for him. Can't get in touch with him. Gone. And it was just, we were supposed to move in. We were supposed to move forward. We couldn't do anything without the electricity. We were stuck.
Wasn't it his own house?
It was own house. Yeah, my
your
contractor's
contractor's-
own house. This electrician was working on. He'd known him forever. Come to find out, he had gone through a divorce. He had disappeared. I'm like, my first thing my brain went to, is he okay? Like what happened? I tried to think about him as a person first, and then when a month and then 2 months and then the holidays are coming up and I still can't decorate the house, and then it became personal, and I'm like, no, I'm just aggravated now. Like now I'm just mad. So then this is kind of when I stepped away from my contractor and just kind of we didn't have a falling out. I was just over it. I think I was just exhausted. We were to a point where really the big stuff was done. And I could just kind of figure it out on my own. He hired another electrician that he knew to come out, but and this is when I'm going to tell you again, do not pay for something until it's completed. My contractor had known this electrician for a really long time, the first one that abandoned us. He paid him in full. So he had no incentive to come back and finish my job. Zero. No incentive to come back, and he didn't even have a guilty conscience. Just gone. And so my contractor had to hire a new electrician to come out and finish this job. He hired him. He was awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Was so impressed by all the things that I was doing myself. Would come over and help me do other stuff. Not even charge, just help, just with knowledge and stuff, because he had built a lot and done things outside of electrical. Loved him. He came out. He got our electricity turned on. He was awesome. And then he submitted the bill to my contractor, and I got a call from my contractor, just I think venting more than anything about the fact that I was like, what do you mean? He wanted it was like $2,000 for the work that he had done. And he was like, that was expensive, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, are you calling me right now for more money? It's not my fault. I'm like, what do you mean? Where's the money that we paid for the other electrician? He was like, well, I paid him. You paid him? Why'd you pay him for not finishing a job? And I'm like, are you calling to ask me right now for more money after we had already had to buy more materials, after we already had delays, after everything already cost more? And he's like, no, I'm just explaining what was going on. And I was like, well, cool.
I think he was before you heard the tone in your voice.
He was. I think he thought I would just give him money. Because I had actually done that before when we had the plumbing things and the problems. I just felt bad, and I shouldn't have felt bad. It's not personal, but I think he thought, and I'm like, I was just tired, and I was just like, no, I'm not. It's really not, whatever. So then we got into a situation. I couldn't have this other electrician come back because he was owed money, and the other electrician had abandoned us. I kind of just had to roll with what we had and have Dad come finish. It was very minor. I mean, it was literally like a plug here and there, or I would learn how to do something and the safe way. It was the safe stuff for me to accomplish. So that was our kind of things. And I think the moral to our renovation things that had happened is don't pay someone before it's done. Always hold back a percentage. And I don't know. What's the other lesson?
Always read your contract.
Oh, always read. I didn't have a contract. That was another kind of thing that I thought was a little bit. I just don't think my contractor was like a real contract.
No.
I think he may have had a contractor license. I didn't ask.
I don't know.
I just don't know. I think in the end, I think why I parted ways with him and won't really work with him again is just because I wish I would have paid him more, because I feel like he really didn't charge me that cost plus. Mm-hmm. I feel like he didn't really charge me. I was seeing all the invoices, and sometimes I would pay people directly. So I wish I would have been charged and he would have shown up and done work. I feel like he left it all on my shoulders, and I wasn't good at being a contractor, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was way too nice of a human to put my foot down and really get it done. So I think there's value in having a contractor, because then he's held accountable and there's someone to lean on, instead of it all being on you, So what else? Let's you got another horror story in mind?
Oh, I could be here
Rattle
all day.
Rattle them off.
Let's see. What was the next house? The next house. I have two more. The next house was the big house. But that was...
Oh, this one. Okay.
That was the big house. We had this guy. It was hard to get people to come work on the big house because it was in such it was starting on something that had already been abandoned, and
that's the other thing about
hard.
Working with contractors.
Yeah.
They don't want to touch old stuff. They don't really want, if you don't have a contractor that specializes in renovation, they don't want to do a renovation.
Yeah.
They want to start scratch.
They don't want to follow anybody else.
Yeah, they don't. And they always, tradesmen, subcontractors will always blame each other. Yes. If the framers show up or the plumber shows up and they're ready to pour, someone messed it up. The foundation guys messed up the plumbing. They didn't do it wrong. They messed it up. And then they need them to do something else. They will always blame each other. So
yeah,
grown men arguing.
Finally, we found somebody, and he could do it. He had people He had people, and he was really good until the end. And he would go back and forth to Mexico and come back. And one time he just didn't come back.
Oh.
And it was his people just kind of would show up and not show up, and it was
So he wasn't like present to kind of run the job anymore. So it was kind of
yes,
hit or
kind
miss.
of just hit or miss. And so that was not fun. Since I was out here without your dad or you, I was alone. It was kind of when nobody would show up. No, I was alone.
Yeah.
And then all day,
And then you
was
weren't
wasted.
working on the project, so it's like you're out here alone trying to do this project,
It was
and then
a wasted.
that's how I felt with the renovation. I
Just a
uprooted my
wasted
life
day.
to come home to do this project, and then we had so many delays and so many problems that it was like, what am I even doing?
Yeah, but imagine out here by yourself.
True, I had you
It was hard
to have fun with. Yeah.
So that was kind of. Then he came back from Mexico and wanted all this money, and I'm
What?
like, I finished the job.
Oh
I
my
finished it. I
gosh.
don't owe you for that. I did it with somebody else. And so that was something. But the real clincher was on the house that we're in now was something. It went really well until they delivered my cabinet doors.
Oh yeah.
And I looked at the guy and I said, these are not my cabinets. I don't know whose cabinets these are, but they're not mine. And he looked at me like, yes, they are. And I said, no, I don't think so. No. In fact, I'm absolutely sure these are not my cabinets. And we had a lady and her husband was the contractor.
Oh yeah, the contract, but they weren't
they weren't really married, but they were together like 11 years, and she was
see.
his right hand man, and they were together. You know, I mean, and they worked really well. She was a dream.
Yeah.
She was wonderful, and I worked more closely with her than I did with him. He would show up at 7 a.m, and then I never would see him again.
Yeah.
And we actually lived in the big house right across the street, down the way.
It was
across the street.
so they built their house in the same neighborhood.
He actually wrote my phone number on the wall and told his subs to call me from across the street that I was a lot closer.
And that should just never happen.
No.
Like
no.
if you have a contractor, they should handle the job. You should
Yes.
not be the one handling.
He handled not anything.
No.
No, nothing. So everything went pretty smooth until my cabinet doors arrived, and the lady had forgotten to put in the order right for my cabinet doors. The profile was wrong. But your dad loved them because they were much more simpler than I wanted. And so he loved them. I didn't. So we made an agreement that I would accept these bajillion cabinet doors if certain things were done, like caps on the columns and things like that.
So kind of extra things to
A
balance.
few extra things that weren't. He had to hang 2 pictures that I wanted really up high. It was things like that, just little
Just to make it
things.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because it was going to cost him close to $12,000 to have my cabinet doors remade, and so for $12,000, he was getting off cheap.
Yeah.
To hang a few pictures up high, it wasn't gonna cost him that. So when it got down to doing it, between the cabinet door delivery and the end of the job, they split up.
Yeah.
And that
Didn't he have like a mistress or something?
Yes.
He had a
It
mistress.
was like,
and
it was bad. And I had worked with.
and she was destroyed.
Oh yes. So
he
it
was really mean.
He was mean. Yes, he was
He
really
was
mean.
really not a nice
He
guy.
was. His true colors came out, and and we really felt sorry for her. It was.
And then wasn't she around trying to still do stuff?
She stayed with the job. She would come out. She helped me. She helped me even clean the house from construction because he had basically abandoned it because he said that she was handling that job. And you have no way of knowing whether your contractor is going to separate from his wife. I mean, those things, you have no way of knowing the future. So these things just happen sometimes. But she was a dream. She stayed with the job till the very end. And she didn't have to. It was wonderful how she stayed with it and got me through it. And it really, we helped her in the end through personal things. And we had a lot of people call and ask us how he did on the job.
Oh, please tell me you were honest.
We were very honest.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say on that. We were very
Yeah.
honest. And because you have to be.
Yeah, if someone calls you for a recommendation, if you've had a bad experience, why would you say, yeah,
You have
you
to
should
be.
totally hire these
Yes,
contractors?
You have to
No.
be. I've given more good reviews than I have bad, trust me.
Yeah.
And his subs were he even told all of the subs that worked on our house that if they went back, I had to hire new people but to finish, because if they went back, his subs went back to my house, that they would never work again for him.
Oh my God.
It's kind of like I was in the divorce. I was something that the wife got custody of.
That's so
I
weird.
know, it was crazy. But I would rather that in the long run. But anyway, we went on and we finished the house. It's beautiful. And I really do wish, in all honesty, that they were back together and could build my next house. That's how wonderful our house
The
is.
quality, yeah, the quality of
yes.
his build was really good,
Really
actually. Like his contacts with subs and the people that did work
Really
for him had an exceptional skill.
And
level.
they showed up. They worked well. They did what.
Oh,
we
except
wanted.
for when they forgot to plug the hole in the roof and you almost got your furniture delivered that day and it
Yes.
leaked.
No, yes, it leaked in our living room. But you know what? It was a Sunday. It was Mother's Day. It was Sunday, and we called the roofer. This was before I got the separation.
Oh, before you
This
got
was
traded,
before- this was
divided in the
before
divorce.
We had a leak, and it was that something about. It was a lot in the den. They had forgotten to do something in the den, and we woke up, and when we woke up, it was raining at daylight, just barely daylight, and it was raining in our den. It was just like,
right where the custom furniture was going to sit.
And
that was supposed to be delivered like
yeah, the next day. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, and and we'd waited on this leather furniture like for a year, and I was so glad it was delayed. Things happen for the good, but we called the roofers, and even though I guess he had told them that, we called them, and they dropped everything and came. They were there by.
Oh yeah. So
the
quality of
9
his
o'clock,
people
they
were
were there.
really, really good. He just wasn't.
Yeah.
So a few things that we've learned through this process is always read your contract. Always know, never pay someone, a sub or anyone fully until the work is done and you've checked it and it looks good and it's up to par for you. And then always know that more than likely 99.999% of the time, your house will never be finished on time. Ever. Like, I don't know if someone that's been renovating or built a home ahead of schedule. Never. We haven't.
No.
And I've never heard of it. So and it will probably always cost you more money. When you go through a renovation, there can be surprises. You know, you can have structural things that you encounter. You can have things that needs to be, kind of extracted. Like if you have an older home, like you have to test for asbestos and lead and all this other stuff. And when you build a new house, sometimes they underbid and you want different finishes. And these are obviously all things that you're presented with at the time and kind of what you're getting into. But if you're in the middle of a renovation and you need all your plumbing replaced and you didn't know it, that's going to be an extra expense. So going in, all these lessons learned, Mom is going to be, hopefully when she sells her house, going to be building a new build. Is there anything that you would do differently going into this next build that would just kind of try and eliminate the surprises, or are they all just so weird that you just can't?
You really, other than
you
reading
can't
your contract, you can't prepare for some things. You just have to be.
You can't prepare for someone having a mistress.
No.
Your contractor having a mistress.
No.
You can't prepare for someone running off and stealing your stuff.
No.
Or you could put cameras up. I mean, you can prove they did it.
And you can watch it on video, but I mean, you've got to.
Yeah. Just, if you can get as many if you get a recommendation from someone that's billed, that normally.
You solicit yourself. Go talk to people that you see
a lot goes in. Like if you know someone that's built with a builder and has had a good experience, more than often that's going to be a good experience for you too. So you kind of let other people be the guinea pig and get people like that.
And friends, if you have a friend that has a house that you love,
Yeah,
who built it?
Yeah,
Even if they bought it, they usually know who built it.
Yeah.
They can research and find out who built it. So it's nice.
Another one last little frustrating little horror story. It was actually not costly, but our roofer I just can't believe he showed up to do the roof, and then came back. We were supposed to pay him for all the roofing work that was going to be done. Of course, he came back to do the front porch and said, "Oh, no, you owe me for this." And he does great, I do great work and blah, 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 blah. He was just such whatever. He needed to go get more material. And so I was like, okay, yeah. And I was like, I have 3 sheets left of the metal roofing, and whatever. And he goes to the store. I was like, just bring me a receipt and let me know how much it is, and I'll pay you for it. Obviously, pay for materials and pay for your labor. So he goes, quote unquote, he said it's going to be $200 in gas for him to go pick up material. I was like, where is it? I'll go pick it up, And then he comes and he shows up like a few days late and comes and says, oh, well, no, they were closed. So I had to get this material from a friend. So I don't have a receipt. Well, that's a lie.
Yeah.
That's just a bold face. I'm sorry. Maybe it's not a lie, but it's a lie. So he was like, it cost me, I think it was like, he said it's $700 for like 3 sheets. No, it didn't.
Well, see, that's another thing. Let
Whatever.
it roll off your
Yeah,
back
so I was
and
like,
go, I'm not paying that without a receipt.
Yeah, I told him, and I was like, he needed something else, and from the hardware store, and he was like, well, I need gas, and I was like, no, I'll go get it. What is it? I was like, you stay here, I'll go get it. So he fixed it, and then a couple weeks goes by, and we have a leak in our roof, in the original roof that he had done. He comes out. I said, there's a leak. He gets up there, and he was like, no, this isn't from my work. I'll charge you $400 to fix it. I said, okay. It's not from your work, whatever. It was from like the old house. So we had an old house, a new house meet an old house, a new roof meet an old roof. And he said that it's not from the joint, it was from something else, right? But there was never a leak in the old house until he put the new roof on. So he needed the material, like the caulking or the roof patching stuff. So I go to the hardware store. I say, stay here. I come back. I give him the thing. He gets up there. 10 minutes later, he comes down. He used all of the stuff, and he goes, you're good. I paid him $400. And then 2 days later, it rains and it's still leaking. So I texted him. I was like, this is unacceptable. Like, what? He was like, well, I'll come out there, but it's going to cost you. I was like, I can't. I got it. What did I do? I got on the roof and fixed it myself.
Oh, I thought of another debacle.
Okay.
In the big house, we had a guy come out to do the stair railing. The beautiful stair railing that I designed going down the stair. Oh, finally, he said that he needs half down. This is another lesson. Usually pay half. Like if they're going to do a design thing like that, you have to pay half because they have to get the material. So I paid him half, which was $7,000 for this big staircase that I was obligated to finish because it was already there.
Right.
So I had to have double-sided railings. So I paid him, and he never brought me my railing. And I kept calling him, oh, we're doing this. We're getting it finished. We're doing the panels. Finally, after like 6 or 7 months, I finally am almost finished with everything of the house. I go over there. I track him down. I go in there, and I said, I want to see what you've done. He brings me back to the back of this warehouse, and there's a bunch of iron laying down on the concrete floor, and it's just sticks of iron laying there. And I'm like,
hadn't done anything.
Hadn't done anything but pick up some iron. And I'm like, it's not even enough iron to do the job. Apparently, they went and got the iron, but then because I saw the receipt.
Yeah.
But then they used the iron for other jobs. You can't prepare for stuff like
Yeah.
that. So he didn't have the iron to even do our job. And I finally said, you have 2 weeks to finish my iron, get my iron, and start on this job. I'm going to be back. 2 weeks later, he had locked up, filed for bankruptcy. He was gone. No. Yes, we had paid him. We had lost. Okay, I took him to court, filed charges on him, took him to court. It wasn't small claims. It was $8,000 or so. But I didn't pay him the other $8,000, but we paid him.
So your railings were going to be $16,000.
Yes,
wow.
Yes. And we won. Yay.
But he filed bankruptcy. You're not going to get anything.
No, never got a penny. Never got a penny.
So you had to pay?
Yes. We found somebody else to do it. We had to give him $8,000 to go get the railing. He actually, I went with him to pick up the railing.
Yeah.
Went and picked up the railing. He had it, brought it to his workshop at his house. He started working on it. It was hand forged to start to
it was really
the panels.
Pretty, I'm remembering. Yeah.
Yes. So he was doing it. Great. I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Great. Came back. He was doing it. Great. We were rolling.
Yeah.
So he calls. He wants to come to the house. Comes to the house, and I remember all of y'all were there, and I don't even remember what holiday it was, but it was some kind of holiday. And he put it up because it was a circular staircase coming down. He had to weld it in the house.
Oh, wow.
On the site. Well, his guess was really wrong. He said he was going to have to take it back and redo it even to get close. And I said, okay. I was seeing progress. The next day, we go to lunch. We come back. At my front door, there's an envelope with a check for my money in full for the iron. All the money we had paid him. Everything. He felt so bad. He said that there was no way, he did not feel confident enough that he could do the job like we wanted. He had paid all of my money back.
Well, that's nice of him, but you still need a railing.
That's what I said. I said, what are we going to do now? And so I called him and I said, you are out so much money. You bought this iron. You've started welding it. I saw it from my own eyes. What are you thinking? And he said, I just don't feel like that I can do it. I'm stressing over it and I just don't feel like.
No.
I said, wait right there. My husband and I are coming. We want to talk to you, because he was going to lose money.
Well, yeah, because he had already kind of assembled it. It just was the wrong kind of curve.
Yes. So we went out there, and there were 6 panels that had to be hand forged, that had ovals, and he had hand forged them. He had done one completely and had done pieces of the others. So we talked to him and we told him, I said, look, we'll give you $2,000 for this iron.
Yeah.
Which is what he had messed up.
Yeah.
Or not messed up, what he had used to. I'll give you that. We will take whatever is here. We will haul it back to the manufacturer of the ironwork place. We'll turn it in. We'll get the money for it. We'll take it. We'll get you your money back. Will you sell us what you've already put together and what you've hand forged? At least you'll have that out of it. And he was literally almost in tears. He said, thank you.
He just couldn't do it.
He said, yes. We ended up, when we got there the next morning with the flatbed trailer, big trailer, to be able to haul it, he had done so much work. When we finally laid out what he had done, we paid him the $4,000 for what he had done, the forging and everything.
Were you able to use it?
We brought it all the way back. And the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, because your dad welded a tire rim onto the back of the 1-ton flatbed thing, and he hand forged the rest of that with a blowtorch. The rest of my
wild.
My fireplace.
Wild.
And well, you do the same thing.
I know.
You do the
but he uses fire.
Yes,
I
he uses
know
fire. I know. I was coming down the stairs. I was going to be the helper. I said, let's fire that baby up. And his blowtorch went, whoa, and I went, I turned around and went right back
Good
upstairs.
luck.
I said, oh no. But I had to hold things for him and hold it. And he did that. It took him about 4 weeks.
I mean, I know that it was like a,
He did it
from
all-
material. I didn't know
He
that.
did it all. He did all of it.
Wow.
All of it, everything. He had hand forged the pieces of one of those panels.
Wow.
You'll have to put a picture.
Yeah.
But, one of those panels he had forged, but your dad did all the rest of the whole thing. Took him about 3 weeks, to.
Wow.
And then he hand welded it in place in the house. It was beautiful.
Wow.
Remember the railing all up at the top?
Yeah. Wow. That's impressive.
He did all that. But that's where you get that.
I do. Yeah. My dad is always working on a project or doing something or having, and you too, from painting and
I don't
she
do
is
blow
painting.
torches. I don't do blow torches.
I don't do blow torches. No. So we hope that this didn't discourage you from
No.
building. That's not what the purpose of it was, but I'm sure if you go through this process, you will have your own horror stories, because I just think that some things are going to go wrong when you've got that many people working on a project for that long of a period of time. When you're working on a house from 9 to 12 months, the odds that it's going to go perfectly smooth, or you're going to be ahead of schedule, or not cost you more money, or like whatever, the odds that it's all going to be perfect are slim. So going into that, you have to be flexible. You have to just take each step one after another, and eventually it will be done. So I just keep taking steps with this house, and eventually it will all be done, because looking back, we really can see all the progress that we've made in this house. And now we're to a point where we really don't need any subcontractors at all, other than a plumber to install my oven. There's that. Hopefully by the time you see this, it'll already be done, because I am going to work on that like maybe tomorrow or something. But we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please keep your requests coming for topics that you want to, that we can talk about. I think next episode I want to talk about like budgeting and like how much DIY was it worth it DIYing this house? Was it cost effective, or did I spend more money and more time just trying to do it myself? Because I know for sure I saved a lot of money on kitchen cabinets. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about that, but we want to hear from you what we can talk about together. People you want to see on the podcast. I know that Drew's going to be on the podcast soon. I already asked him, so get excited. And then of course, mom. I always drag mom. Like, mom, come to my house and let's do a podcast. So we will see you guys very soon in 2 weeks, and make sure that you're subscribed. If you haven't seen the video and you do like to see us talk and versus just hear us, you can check out the YouTube channel and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit the little plus sign and let us know what you want to hear. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks after we've done some more renovation prep. I don't know when mom's going to build her house, but it's going to be eventually.
Oh, I'm going to build it.
Yeah, that's what
I'm
she's
getting
been
the
saying for a
fever.
while. Are you fevering?
Yes.
Yeah, she's got a lot of whole bunch of stuff out in my shed that we need to go organize, and I think it's going to reignite her. Yes, I need to.
It won't take much.
It won't. Bye, guys.